way you beat a guy like that, you're not going to outbox him. If you're waiting on him and he's initiating and he's feinting you into counters and then he's countering the counter, you're going to lose that fight.
Well, AJ's chin's gone, right? Like, and I'm not saying that I believe that. I don't believe that. I think getting beaten up by Daniel Dubois does not mean your chin's gone, especially when you keep getting up and you managed to rock him late in the fight and you stayed in the fight. And I think Daniel Dubois is a freak like, you know, AJ is a freak. He's a one-off. Jake Paul is not Daniel Dubois. But some people are genuinely giving Jake Paul a chance. That's blowing my mind here.
Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old.
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. This isn't just a boxing match. It's a collision of eras. And experts are split down the middle. Some warn Jake is risking his life, while others shockingly claim he could actually beat Joshua. So, what's the truth? Let's break down the real reasons this fight is far more dangerous and far more unpredictable than anyone expected.
You into counters and then he's countering the counter, you're going to lose that fight. Joshua has to impose his size, strength, youth, go to the body. He has to be willing to take certain risks. And if he does that...
Max Kellerman recently broke the internet by explaining why he genuinely believes Jake Paul could beat Anthony Joshua. According to him, Joshua is still a skilled former heavyweight champion, but age may not be on his side anymore. Meanwhile, Jake Paul brings youth, hunger, and fearlessness. Kellerman says if Joshua wants to win, he must fight like the younger version of himself. Aggressive, sharp, and willing to outwork Jake every single round. Kellerman even said Jake has a legitimate chance, while others believe he's literally risking his life stepping in with AJ. He dove deep into Jake's mindset, pointing out how much he has matured. Jake has been in high-pressure moments over and over, and Kellerman believes he won't be nervous at all. In fact, he claims Jake performs better when the lights are brightest. He even said Jake has a 100% chance, not because he's guaranteed to win.
To be in your 12th or 13th fight in front of 80,000 people at AT&T Stadium in front of 125 million viewers, that's not experience you can gain normally. So he's going to go into that event very calm and very composed. And I fully believe that he does 100% think he's going to beat Anthony Joshua, yes.
What about the weight? Will there be a limit for Joshua?
So there's a lot of discussion around the weight. Joshua fought Usyk twice. Both of those times, Usyk was 221 pounds. Joshua was 240 to 245. When Jake fought Mike Tyson last year, 227 pounds. I expect Jake will come in anywhere between 225 and 230, and Anthony Joshua has a weight limit of 245 pounds.
There will be those, as you're aware, that will look at it and criticise this fight. There already have been, haven't there? They'll say it's a real mismatch. What would you say to them? Are we going to be watching sport at its purest?
I would say it's much less of a mismatch than what you saw with AJ and Francis Ngannou, who a massive man, but relatively no boxing experience. I would say it's much less of a mismatch than AJ's 9th or 10th fight against guys who've been knocked out 20 to 25 times. Given AJ's pedigree, Jake is built for this. Jake is built for the big moments. So do I think it's dangerous for Jake Paul? Absolutely. Do I think it's also dangerous for Anthony Joshua? 100%.
I mean, we're just watching some of these punches being thrown now. Can he take something like that, Jake Paul?
Alexander Usyk took it, right? I think that was a perfect 1-2 combination by Joshua, again, on a fairly stationary fighter in Francis Ngannou, who had a good performance against Tyson Fury. But I don't think Tyson Fury took that fight serious.
But because he's fully confident in his preparation, skill set, and team. Some experts are even predicting an upset, saying Joshua's reflexes have slowed and he isn't the explosive monster he once was. These analysts argue that while Joshua used to dominate heavyweights easily, today he fights more cautiously and gets hit more often. Meanwhile, Jake Paul, whether you like him or not, has improved.
He's not going to land on Joshua, is he? Joshua's going to be far too skilled in evading whatever Jake Paul could throw at him.
Because I don't believe he's an evading fighter. I think he's one of those fighters that is extremely powerful to where a fighter is simply afraid. The problem is that all of the pressure's on Joshua at the moment. So Jake Paul, if he gets knocked out in 12 seconds, he should get knocked out. The problem is as soon as Joshua starts taking damage, all of a sudden he's thinking, the world is watching me, I'm a professional fighter, and I'm getting beat off a YouTuber. all of the pressure is in Joshua, and that's a lot that can weigh on a man.
Jake Paul can't damage him though.
People can damage him though. He's went down.
People can.
World
people
champion.
can. Yeah. No, like Alexander Usyk can. Daniel Dubois can. These are supreme athletes. Jake,
completely correct. Yes, there's a difference in someone who's been boxing their entire life versus a YouTuber. I completely understand that, but you can't deny that Jake Paul has power. I think it's one of his only attributes. I think he's a very poor boxer, but what he does have is a weird technique where you don't know what
he's got power. How do we know he's got power?
He's knocked people out.
What, Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley?
Yeah.
Tyron Woodley was arguably one of the best UFC fighters there's ever been. No, mate, I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting that he's going to go in there and walk Joshua all over. But you can't deny that he has lights out power. It's just
I would deny that. I would deny that he has that kind of power.
Yeah, in an amateur boxing ring, yeah, fine. Not against a two-time world champion. We're talking about here.
Again, I understand the content and what I'm saying, and I do see how it is completely stupid thinking YouTuber could break Anthony Joshua. But the thing is that he's going to be training for this fight. Joshua has all of the world looking at him thinking you should walk him over. If it gets 3 rounds inside, I think Joshua loses.
Yeah. You think he gets beat?
I mean, I think the pressure will get to him. I think if he loses to Jake Paul, he's the embarrassment to boxing. And if you get inside 3 rounds where you've not put him away like everyone thinks you will, all of a sudden that pressure to finish the fight as he should is going to gain and gain and gain.
Is there any truth in this, Jamie? Can you see a world where Dan's theory is basically this geezer can punch and he therefore has a puncher's chance? I think he's got no chance. Like slim, if none.
No chance.
None. Literally none.
No chance.
No. It's one of them, innit? I honestly, without going like extreme, Dan, I think Anthony Joshua, if he could only use one hand, wins the fight. I honestly do.
This is the thing, and I love Joshua. You know, he's arguably the pride of Britain when it comes to boxing. He's a great fighter. But could you say he's past his best? Could you say that he's been tested too many times? The thing that it relates to me is when you look at Silva in the UFC, as soon as he got knocked out, his chin became glass. And I think that's the same with Joshua. I don't think he can take a punch anymore. I think he's one of those people where it's almost he damages way too easy now. And it's one of those things where I think when you're a boxer and you...
More power, better conditioning, cleaner fundamentals, and the age gap between them? That alone makes this matchup more dangerous and more interesting than people expected. Olympic boxer Tony Jeff added another major point. Jake Paul has every resource a fighter could dream of. Elite trainers, world-class conditioning coaches, sports psychologists.
We've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else. What comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. They'll come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pounds versus 252 pounds. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are included at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights, and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really. It's better for Anthony Joshua because he's just going to go all out for them 8 3-minute rounds. And imagine that, Anthony Joshua blasting at you, 6'6", whatever he is, 250 pounds, throwing big bombs at you. But anyway, both fighters will be using 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. Why have they got that? It says both fighters will be wearing 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. What do you expect? Them to take them off halfway through and switch them to 12s. But I guess these days, anything happens in boxing, right? The boys will follow similar rules to Jake Paul and Mike Tyson in November, but that fight was 8 2-minute rounds and 14-ounce gloves. Not similar if it's smaller gloves and 2-minute rounds. Who wrote this for DAZN? It marks the first time Joshua will have contested less than 10 rounds.
Absolutely. I mean, you literally go into survival mode because of the size difference. You know, you question your manhood a lot. Everything goes out the window because, like I say, the power of just a jab. And bear it in mind, when you spawn bigger guys, you must have been in the gym, Joe, you spot people below and above. So, you know, if you're the bigger guy, you bring the power down, you take your time. And AJ was essentially taking his time. And even just flicking out that hand, flicking out that jab, the force is crazy. So I really do fear for Jake Paul.
On power, that's what, I mean, I've people have been ringing in TalkSport, these boxing.
Because Jake Paul is a master of hype and psychological pressure. Jake knows how to turn a fight into a global event. And sometimes that makes opponents relax. Yard warned that if AJ walks into comfortable, Jake Paul can catch him slipping. So now the question is real. Is Jake Paul walking into the biggest opportunity of his life or the biggest danger of his career? And is Anthony Joshua securing his legacy or gambling it against a YouTuber with nothing to lose? Let me know in the comments. Who survives this fight?